No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's January 23rd. These are your headlines. Basically, the headlines this week are, it's really cold out here, the ice is safe pretty much everywhere, and everyone I know that's fishing is doing it through a hole in the ice. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. The first one is a bit of a political jaunt, which is something I typically steer clear of. But after the transition of presidential power earlier this week, there are a few executive orders that have come out of the Oval Office that should be of interest to New England anglers. The first one is Trump's pledge to end offshore wind on day one. Now, the executive order concerning offshore wind seems to fall well short of doing that. However, it will put a freeze on new projects, it will put a freeze on new leases, and any project that is not currently underway but in the planning phases is going to be have to go through the Department of Interior, and they could be cut down in that process. However, the new head of the Department of Interior said this week that offshore wind farms that are already in process or in the law, as he put it, are going to continue without stopping. So it sounds to me like the Nantucket, the ones off Nantucket, the ones off the Vineyard, the ones off Rhode Island are probably going to continue as planned. I did talk to Bill Thompson, who is the vice president of Green Oceans, which is a nonprofit organization that opposes offshore wind. And he said that there are still avenues through which this administration could dismantle, decommission the existing wind farms. And that's basically through national security concerns, because they do pose a risk as far as radar interference, as far as line of sight interference and navigational issues. There is an avenue through which they could be decommissioned. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. The other one is this regulatory freeze, which few people seem to think means that there's either the fishing regulations will never change again or that there will be no fishing regulations. Neither of these things are true. As far as the best interpretation that I can get from what I've read is that this means that things will continue as they always have. The regulations will still come from the same governing bodies, but there may be a little bit more scrutiny from higher up the ladder. So I think that's pretty much the nuts and the bolts of what's going to happen with that. Another thing I want to remind you guys about is that there's an ASMFC meeting tonight in Rhode Island. It's at the URI Bay campus. This is not a striped bass meeting. This is concerning bottom fish and bluefish. So we've got sea bass, you've got fluke, you've got scup, and you've got bluefish. And basically this meeting is to sort of come up with the way that they're going to govern these or regulate these fisheries going forward. There's a lot of outcry for some changes. In other words, what people want is they want the regulations to stay more or less the same. So they're hoping to standardize things a little bit. And so that's definitely one of the things that's on the table. You can tune in online via webinar by going to asmfc.org, then going to meetings, then going to the calendar, and you can click through on today's date to get the webinar, or you can head over to URI and see it live. But in either case, it sounds like these meetings have been vastly underattended so far, so I would definitely highly recommend sitting down and listening in, because these changes, you know, they make a big difference for New England fishermen. So definitely check that out. Next up, let's check in with Jenni Ackerman. Here's her latest installment of Open Boat.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Open Boat. The glasses are on, the laptop's here. You know we are going over the part 3 of the Surfcasters Challenge. We're here at the winner's circle highlighting your catches on your favorite lures. First off, I just want to say thank you everyone who participated. I had a great time reading your emails, seeing your pictures, and just talking to you through emails, just going through everything. Hearing your fishing stories are always great. And if you didn't make the cut, for this specific Surfcasters challenge, don't worry, because I like the interaction so much and the participation from you subscribers. We're gonna do more in the future. We're probably gonna do one for the spring run, and I'm thinking about even doing one for like fluke season out front. If you go fluking, like your favorite bucktail or your favorite bait of choice or your favorite rig, I just wanna see more of like what you guys are fishing to compare it to what I fish for when I go fluking. So, and if you go to my seminars, you can learn about what I'm fluking, but more of that to come at the end of this episode. So let's get right into it, starting off with David and Paul. This entry was sent in from David, and he said that my buddy Paul was out with me for his first time ever striper fishing. Welcome to the club, Paul. You're gonna be addicted for life. And he said he hooked up with a 30-inch striper on a bone super strike heavy needle. And Dave says that he was lucky enough to hook up too, so the both of those guys were doubled up fighting these fish. And in the picture below here, you have a guy walking the beach who took their picture, so that was very lucky of them to not be on an empty beach, and you were able to capture the moment. So Dave is on the right. He says that his fish was about 36 inches, but he knew it was over slot, so they quickly took the picture and released it. So shout out to both David and Paul for, one, Paul getting on his first ever striper, and two, having a good buddy like David that's willing to take you out fishing and teach you. That's always a really good friendship to have, and now you have a fishing buddy to go striper fishing with, and you're gonna both be addicted to fall run blitzes and late nights walking the beach catching fish in the dark. So next up we have Jim Payton, and he first off thanks me for the open boat education. I don't wear these glasses just to look smart. I got the brains up here, so I'm glad I'm teaching you guys some funny fishing stuff, so you're welcome. And he said that he was fishing all morning before sunrise to about 10 a.m. and threw every single plug that he had in his bag. And he said that the same deal, people around him weren't getting any fish. There was a ton of bait in front of him, which is very similar to how my fall run season went. It was like purgatory for a lot of guys, where you had bait in front of you and you saw the fish feeding, but they didn't want anything to do with you. So he decided last resort to make a legal snag rig. I saw a lot of these getting used this fall run season, and big shout out for using the legal snag rig, especially when those peanut bunker were around, because they worked really well. So he used the legal snag rig and caught this 40-inch plus striper. Said it was very robust and had a great fight. And it had a ton of energy, and when he released it, it was safely back in the water, ready to fight again, or just fill up on more peanut bunker, because that's what they love to do. Thank you, Jim. Next up, we have David Ross from New Jersey, and his fish was caught on his favorite lure, which is the Caveman slope-headed metal lip swimmer. So that's a really nice picture on a nice metal lip swimmer. You can't beat a metal lip bite. Keeping it in New Jersey, we got Wallace Smith, who challenged me. He said, I definitely do not have this lure in my bag. It is a one-off homemade Hopkins and chartreuse, and I definitely do appreciate homemade lures, so you keep on throwing that, Wallace. Next up, we're in Long Island with Paul Reed. He has a fish on a diamond jig. Bringing it back to New Jersey, we got Scott Soletto with his fish on a bucktail. And then we have George Gaskin here with his fish on a pencil popper. Keeping it in New Jersey, we have Timothy Vest with his fish on a diamond jig. We got James Bier, and he says that while he was in Ship Bottom, all alone on the beach with my custom 8-foot rod, a VR50, 20-pound braid, 25 fluorocarbon leader attached via an FG knot, he landed and safely released this fish using his favorite SP minnow with inline hooks. Very nice there, James. Now we got another James who is back on the list, the second submission, James Payton. And he says that the first lure has a story. As you know, if you fish the beach enough days, you will find a lost lure washed up on the beach amongst the trash. And that's why he says he always has a cleanup bucket in the truck. And that's awesome, because if you clean the beaches while you fish, you'll make it a better place for not just you, but the fish and all the wildlife around you. And you could find some cool plugs. That's a good idea for another future open boat. If we do another beach sweep idea, and then we see how many cool plugs you find on the beach and send in your submissions. So keep an eye on that in the future too. But he says that he found a cool plug, and here's the picture of it. And he discovered after doing some research that it was a discontinued lure by Sabile, the stick shad, the 6-incher, 3.5 ounces. So then he went home, put some split rings and hooks on it, and went to Island Beach State Park. And he said there was bait as far as the eye could see, but up close there were peanuts in the wash. And then the bait out far was adult bunker. And he said that all the folks around him were having trouble getting a hookup. So after exhausting all of the lures, he decided to throw that 6 shad. And he said that this was the best day of 2024. He lost count after 25. And this picture that he sent in was one of the 40-inch fish. He said that most of the fish were over slot. And he says to this day, he's still smiling. Absolutely love to hear it. Thank you so much, James, for sharing, and heads up to anyone else out there. If you do find a lure on the beach and it might look a little beat up, like, I mean, you see in this picture, this one doesn't have paint on it. It's got battle scars. So what? As long as it still swims properly, swap out those split rings, put fresh hooks on it, and fish it. That's, you get a free plug right there, you know. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Unintentional trash, because you didn't mean to purposely lose a plug, but you know the expression. So you got a freebie right there, and you're getting, like James lives by example. He crushed fish on a lure that he found. So always keep your eyes out when you're on the beach, and pick up that garbage too. Switching from the beach to the boat, we're on board the Muscles Magoo out of Sandy Hook, New Jersey. And first up, we have the first mate, Joe Aris, with 2 fish entries right here. And then following him, of course, we have the captain himself, Captain Harry Brown, with an additional 2 fish entries from this fall run season. And last but not least, we have David Bombala from Connecticut. And he says he watched the video fishing forecasts with Dave Anderson and My Open Boats every single week. So thank you for being a supportive watcher. And he said that he is including this image from the fall run here in Connecticut on a local beach in Milford on the Long Island Sound. He said he decided to take a long walk on the beach on October 12th in the early morning hours when a short blitz happened right where I was standing. It was like a godsend. I was in the right place at the right time, and it was gone in the blink of an eye. There was nothing but small bait in the area, so I decided I would start with a 4-inch cotton cordell pencil popper. And he says that, of course, he changed out the split rings and the hooks to be better suited for saltwater. So when I saw the bass blowing up on the surface, I quickly made a cast right in the money and started to retrieve, and boom, I was tight. I knew I had a good fish and prayed the small hooks would stay pinned, and they did. I did not get a measurement, but I was guessing it was around 38 to 40 inches of a class fish, and I just wanted to take a quick photo and get it back in the water. Can't tell you how blessed and lucky I was feeling that day. You can't catch them from the couch. Amen to that, David. You can't catch them from the couch. Although I am sitting on a couch right now, that is the story. Anytime you go fishing or you want to go fishing, don't let that, lazy bones temptation get the best of you, because you could miss the best fishing day of your life. So that was all the submissions for part 3 of the Winner's Circle. Thank you everyone so much for participating. I know I had a great time covering it and reading your emails, looking at your pictures, and reaching back out to you via email. So we're definitely going to do more of this in the future. I love the interactions, and maybe with the winter season coming up, talk to me at the shows. We can do more of this at the shows, because I'm going to have my camera, especially at some of the bigger shows coming up this winter season. And also with the shows, I have seminars. So those seminars, if you can't make it, if you're not local or you're just busy, ice fishing or, fishing, it's fine. I'll be at the shows instead of fishing. But my seminars are going to be recorded. So following this episode of Open Boat, we're going to have a couple of weeks in between where my seminars are going to be live. So if you miss out on one of my seminars, don't worry, they're going to be on YouTube. And the best thing about a seminar on YouTube is you can pause it, take some notes, and then continue. So you can go back to it and reference anything that I'm talking about if you can't come to the shows themselves to see me in person. But definitely, if you can make it to a show, come out, because at the Fisherman magazine booth, we have our subscriber special. So if you have to renew your subscription to the magazine, or you're watching us on YouTube and you're enjoying the content, come to the shows, be a new subscriber, meet your team that is putting you guys on fish and giving you updates with rules and regulations, everything. Subscribe to the Fisherman magazine at the shows because you get a show special, a pair of Danko pliers, and those are great. So definitely come see us. Check the schedule for the show season. Next week, we're going to be highlighting my first seminar of the 2025 season where I'm talking about fluke at the Wildwood Fishing and Boating Expo. So that's going to be live on YouTube next week to get you guys ready for warmer weather and doormat fluke. So I'll catch you guys on next week's Open Boat.
Last thing, of course, is the giveaway, which is ongoing, but we've only got 1 week left, and what a perfect week it is. I mean, we've got all this safe ice here. I'd love to see a whole bunch more ice fishing pictures. I have gotten some good ones, especially some good ones of kids out there enjoying the ice, and some really nice fish taken by some of these kids as well. But still no definite winner, and we're going to be giving away a flat glide needlefish made by me and some NLBN paddle tails as well, just to sweeten the deal. You guys know the drill by now. You just got to email your pictures to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text them to the number on the screen. And the only rules are it's got to be a recently caught fish, and it's got to show the angler holding the fish. Can't be like laying on the ice next to your foot or something like that. Outside of that, it doesn't matter to me if it was caught in New England or if you caught it in Texas or if you caught it in the Amazon. I don't care. Get them into me, and next week on January 29th, we're going to pick a new winner, and then we'll probably start another one right after that. Moving over to the reports now, there's pretty much the only thing we're going to be talking about in every stop this week is ice fishing. And up in the North Country, up in Maine, up in New Hampshire, up in Vermont, pretty much everything is safe with the exception of maybe some of the largest lakes like Winnipesaukee or something like that. But even on those giant lakes, a lot of the coves are safe and people are going out in droves. I don't think I've seen this much interest in ice fishing in years, maybe a decade, which is great. And that's reflected if you check in with any tackle shop. And you know, that's up in the North Country or down in southern New England, it doesn't matter. You go looking for a jigging rod, you go looking for some tip-ups, you might not find them. And if you're looking for shiners, you better get there early because they're selling out like crazy. We are seeing trout coming through the ice up that way. We're seeing bass, we're seeing pickerel. And that's really it. I mean, it's just great to see so many people getting out, even in this, you know, frigid cold, and enjoying the sport of ice fishing and heading out to all these tackle shops. It's just been a great thing. Drop it down over the border into Massachusetts. Let's check in first with Kevin Hoang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
What's up, guys? Kevin from Surfland Bait and Tackle checking in here with this frigid, cold weather that we've been having. Most of the places are locked up now. There's been plenty of ice fishing around, panfish like yellow perch, bluegills, largemouth bass, pickerel, bass, trout. I mean, a lot of guys are setting up traps with shiners and some with mealworms, and then I would suggest like jigging. One of my favorite things to do is you set up the trap in the far distance, and then you know, pop a couple holes around. You check out the depths. If you don't have electronics, you can use like just a weight so you can see how far it drops down, and you can check out where the drops off are, and then, you know, you can find weed lines and everything, and you just jig around that, and like that, I say 10 to 20 feet. It's like a good range, because that's like up the depth that a lot of fish like to hang out at during the winter. And then for the trout's usually on the shallower side. They like to go in the shallower water, or they'll be like, a lot of the times they'll be swimming right under the ice, unlike all these other species that like to hang more towards the bottom. But I mean, as the season rolls in a little bit, and then once we get into spring, the fishing's gonna change dramatically. And I hope my fishing reports and everything will get even more and more exciting as the time comes. Well, see you guys next time.
Now I'll move down to Boston, check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. Today I had a chance to get offshore, finally. We went down to Walsh's Deep Sea Fishing, jumped aboard the American Classic with Captain Jim, and headed out close to Wildcat. We stopped at a few different stops. A couple of the spots were really good with cusk, some really big ones. I think one of them was close to 20 pounds. That was the pool winner. There was some good redfish coming over. Nothing super big, but a good amount of redfish. And there was some haddock too. We didn't end up running into the pollock, but, everyone stayed busy, with a steady pick of the redfish, cusk, and haddock. If you're trying to get offshore this time of year, that's the spot you want to do it at. Jim's been running these waters for a while, and he puts on a good trip. I know we got the Meredith Fishing Derby coming up. I'm looking forward to that. I believe last week they declared ice on Winnipesaukee, so that should be fun. Should be safe ice, and looking forward to it. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Now I'll hang a right into central Massachusetts and talk to the guys over at Jerry's Bait and Tackle in Milford. I talked to a few of my buddies up that way, and basically every pond is safe. It doesn't mean you should just walk out there confidently. You always want to check. You always want to make sure there's always the possibility of a spring, or even right here I'm looking at some reeds along the edge here that there's a little bit of water poking out. So you gotta, you still got to be careful, but just about every pond is safe. Just about every pond has people on it, and it seems like everybody is catching fish. We're seeing pickerel, bass, panfish, we're seeing some pike, and we're seeing some trout as well. Just phenomenal ice fishing in interior Massachusetts. And as we head further west, before we check in with Roy Leyva, I got this awesome video from Dan Southwick this week of a musky that he caught. He wouldn't say exactly where. Sounded like he was out in Western Mass, but who knows. But just an incredible video and an incredible fish. Here's a photo of the fish as well. And I just wanted to say congrats to Dan before we move on to Roy. And now we'll get our Western Mass report from Roy Leyva.
Hey Dave, we've got plenty of great fishing out here in Western Mass this week. I will say it again for the third week in a row though. Please be caution or take caution when you're heading out on the ice. Spud bar your way out and spud bar your way back. Because right now, even in some of the colder temps out in the Berkshires, we have had some rescues this week. People have gone through the ice. It's one of those things where you've got 8 inches and then all of a sudden you take 2 or 3 steps and it's only an inch of ice. And now we've got some snow cover on top of that, which doesn't help really. And of course, it masks what's there. So, take caution. But besides that, there is some really good fishing to be had. Pike fishing strong, panfish, crappie, sunfish. The trout fishing has been phenomenal in a lot of the lakes out here. From jigging to setting up tilts, whichever way you want to go about it, it's here. We're going to have an ice season, I bet you probably for another 3 weeks at least. So I will get back to you guys next week. Please be caution out. Take caution out there. Roy Leyva, Western Mass Report. See ya. Peace.
Now heading down into southeastern Mass and out onto the Cape. We've got safe ice spreading across that region as well. Southeastern Mass, pretty much everywhere is safe. Out on the Cape, it sounds like the outer Cape is still iffy at best. And that tends to be the case. Also, there's a lot of kettle ponds out there, which are incredibly deep. It takes a lot longer for the water temperatures to come down low enough to freeze. So what they're seeing out there a lot is ponds that are frozen around the edges and open in the middle, and that renders them unfishable no matter how you want to do it. But in interior portions of the Cape and up closer to the canal, lots of safe ice up in that area. And that is evidenced by just about every tackle shop I talked to on the Cape saying that they have sold out of shiners multiple times over the last 2 weeks. And pretty much they just need a lifeline of shiners right now. So even if you got to drive around a little bit and find that perfect pond that's definitely safe, lots of people are getting it done out on the Cape, and the Cape is famous for great wintertime fishing, and that's translating to the ice. So whether you want to chase these giant pickerel, which are abundant out on the Cape, whether you want to hit some of the trout ponds, which are going to be giving up fish, or whether you want to hunt for some largemouth bass or even some smallmouth bass, the bite has been on and the fishing has been great. And that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Moving over into Rhode Island now, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, nice to be back. Got a quick report here. A lot of ice fishing going on in the East Bay and a little bit of South Coast Massachusetts. We're going to start in Barrington. I got a good report from my friend Matt, who's been fishing in Echo Lake in Barrington, and he's been doing really well with yellow perch, some white perch in there, and he got a couple of bass. Just pretty much using a trout magnet and a couple of little small curly tails on a really light jig head. So he's got a couple of holes drilled through the ice on a weed line. So it's very important. If you can find those weed lines in some of these ponds that are in the area, and you fish along them, guaranteed you're going to find the fish there. These fish like to hang out in these weed lines, especially when it's cold. So he's been doing really well in the South Lake Drive side, where that grass line should be, and it's about 10 feet in, and it's distinct. You can kind of see it sticking out of the ice a little bit, but that along with Willett Pond has been producing too. I know a couple of guys have been fishing up in Willett Pond and got a couple of holes in the ice, and they're actually catching some nice panfish in there also. Getting closer to the South Coast Massachusetts, Milford Pond and Lewenbrook Pond are both producing through the ice as well. There is some big crappie being caught up in the Upper Warren Reservoir in Swansea also. So I think the ice is here to stay. We got some really cold days here now, and if you can get out there and get a couple of holes in the ice, and you literally got to look for certain things. Electronics do work good. If you have portable electronics to bring out in the ice for you, you can monitor your depth, and especially if there's trout around, you can see the bite happening pretty much in live. But stick with the small stuff right now as this water is cold. You might get lucky with a nice largemouth. The trout magnets, there's a lot of small little curly tails and grubs you can use. There's some gulp products, gulp leech, mealworms. They all work. Pretty much if you can find out what depth the fish are biting at, that's kind of key too. But sometimes you can you start at a higher depth and draw these fish in to to get a little excitement in the water, and you can catch them that way. But if you can get down to where they're hanging out, an easy meal on a cold day, cold water, fish don't want to really react too much to feed, but that's probably your best bet. So from the East Bay, we'll catch you guys next week. Tight lines.
Now, everything I've been hearing from Rhode Island is about the same as what I've been hearing from everywhere else. Everybody is ice fishing, and everybody is just loving this change. We've had so many mild winters in a row now that the interest in ice fishing is just skyrocketing right now. And even the coastal ponds are safe this week, and hopefully that's going to continue for a while. And I know Rhode Island is planning to do a bunch of stocking this week as well. They're going to be stocking rainbow trout, brook trout, golden rainbow trout, and Sebago salmon. You can head over to thefisherman.com. There's a recent news brief that I just posted yesterday that shows all the ponds. There's 13 different ponds in Rhode Island. They're going to have to come out here and, chainsaw a hole in the ice. And then they'll put these fish in, and that's going to add a whole new element to the ice fishing in Rhode Island. And you'll be able to get those fish on tip-ups, and I think jigging will be excellent for those fish. So that's going to be some exciting stuff. I also know that Jeff Sullivan and his fishing partner did a seminar. I believe it was at the Narragansett Surfcasters this week. And Jeff told me that they were getting tons of questions about how they rig all their soft plastics for striped bass. So for those of you that don't feel like drilling holes in the ice, here's Jeff Sullivan. He's going to tell us about a bunch of rigging secrets that he uses with soft plastics.
What's up, Dave? What's up, everybody? It's Jeff back to the weekly video. So this week I'm going to show you a sneak peek at my no live bait needed K-tail trick that I like to do with the jig head. Instead of the screw lock hook that you're all accustomed to, I put another little approach on it, and I put a little jig head on it. And it takes 2 seconds. You can also do it with the 5-inch. No big deal. I mean, I'm cutting like a little piece off the top. Not much. You don't want to cut too much because you won't have room for that screw lock to fit. So you just want to cut it flush. Once you cut it flush, just screw lock it into place. Thread it on like you would with a normal NLBN shad, and you're in business. I mean, this bait is very durable. It's not going anywhere. It's made well. It swims extremely good, and you can fish it in deeper water if your strike zone or your fish are in deeper water, or your faster currents and stuff like that. I noticed with this in fast currents, it gets kind of swept away, and it's tough to fish in some kind of conditions. But with this, you eliminate that. I mean, you can put a 3-ounce head on this if you need to, for deeper water. But I like to fish lighter applications because I fish shallow water in the spring. This should be in your bag from spring until fall, fresh and salt water. I use this a lot in freshwater too as well. It just matches an array of bait fish up here in the Northeast and all around the world, believe it or not. This is made very durable. Those guys down at No Live Bait Needed made a diamond with this. This tail is made for fish catching action. It just catches fish. It's very durable, and it has that slow wag to it in the water. It doesn't have that fast wave. It's got that slow water pushing tail. It's got hinges here on the edges here. It's hinged, so it's very well made. And they're affordable. They're not expensive, guys. You can go up there, go to your local bait and tackle shop, or go online at nolivebaitneeded.com. Check out all the colors they have. This right here is Snowbird, and they have a lot of colors in the 5-inch as well. They come out with monthly colors every month. Hey, go check them out because this is what I have on me at all times. All right, guys, just another option for you to have out there this spring. It's around the corner. All right, I'm gonna go get on some ice. Later.
Heading down into Point Judith, I have not heard of any head boats heading out this week. The only thing I do know is that the Francis Fleet continues to pledge that when they get a good day, it's not so cold and not so windy, they're going to head out there. And, their last trip, they had some codfish, they had some choggies, they had a few other bottom species, and it put together a decent catch by the end of the day. So keep an eye on their social media if you want to get out and do some saltwater fishing. On the holdover striped bass end of things, I haven't heard of anybody doing it. There's got to be some safe ice out there somewhere where someone has pulled a striped bass through the ice, but they're keeping it secret, and we'll have to wait and see if anybody spills the beans. But heading along the South Shore, it's the same thing. We've got plenty of safe ice along the South Shore and interior portions of Rhode Island, and most of the guys are just out there drilling holes and catching fish. Crossing over into Connecticut now, once again, surprise, surprise, just about everybody's ice fishing. And it seems like the Connecticut River Valley has been the hot zone. Whether you're fishing the coves of the Connecticut River, you're hitting some of the ponds like Black Pond or some of the other ones in that central region, the fishing's been good. The ice has been very safe. In fact, last week I was at the Hartford Boat Show, but one early morning I hopped out with Rowan Lytle. We hopped on a little river cove. We got a couple of small striped bass. We got a pretty nice sized white perch, and it was cold, but it was a lot of fun. And just nice to see so many people out there enjoying this awesome sort of bonus fishery. For a little bit more on things going on in the Connecticut River Valley, let's check in now with Rowan Lytle.
Hello everybody. So after a few days of phenomenal ice building conditions here in the Connecticut River Valley, it looks like we are set for a a really good week. This might be the peak of our ice season. The coves on the river are frozen and safe. There's people out there. It doesn't look like we're going to have so much of a warm up this weekend that'll do any damage to the ice. In fact, what it really looks like is good ice building conditions at night and fairly nice, comfortable conditions out there during the day. So if you were waiting to get out on the ice on any of the coves to fish for panfish, pike, bass, anything of that sort, this is probably going to be the weekend. This looks like it'll be the peak of our ice season. So it's good to see this. I am so excited to actually have a good prolonged ice season in Connecticut finally again. Get out there, enjoy it, and catch some fish. And stay safe. Even safe ice in the river can have its problems. Be aware of that. There's current, there's tides. Those things affect the ice. Just be safe, be aware, carry your spud bar, and be intelligent about it. Don't be venturing onto ice that looks sketchy. Good luck, enjoy, and have some fun.
Now we're going to check in with Mike Roy from Realcast Charters.
Hey everybody, for this week's fishing forecast, I'm supposed to be on a plane to Louisiana right now, but they just got the biggest snowstorm they've seen in the past 100 years, so that trip is postponed until next week now. Locally, I'm sure there's plenty of good ice fishing throughout the state with these cold temperatures. I'm excited about what I have in my hand right here. This is the brand new release from Shimano. This is the new Trench. This is the 301B. Couple new features on this reel. This is actually a one-piece body. And also on the side plate here, you have the ability to adjust your braking system to prevent backlashes and also extend your casting range. So go ahead, check this out. I believe these reels are at Fishing Factory 3 in Middletown. If you want to get your hand on one, this is going to be a hot reel this year.
Now let's head down to Westbrook. We'll check in at Black Hall Outfitters with Matt Stone.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. It's a very easy one this week. Ice, definitely ice fishing. We've got safe ice all the way down to the shoreline here in Connecticut. I live in South Central Connecticut. I've seen guys all over my local lakes. So that's kind of the name of the game right now. It's frigid out there. There's not a ton going on. So if you can find some safe ice, which shouldn't be hard, grab some gear, get out there. And we don't get it too often around here, especially in the southern part of the state. So if it's something you're interested in, now is the time. Definitely going to have some safe ice here for it looks like a handful of days, if not more. So good luck and enjoy that cold.
Now, one of the open water fisheries that is still hanging on, if you can stand the cold, is the Farmington River. And we're going to check in now with Derrick Kirkpatrick from Connecticut Fish Guides.
Hey Dave, coming to you today from the office. Very cold, had -4 this morning. So I am indoors and doing some bulk tying to fill up the bins for my e-commerce store. The Farmington currently is unfishable, and I know that will change in a few short days. But it might be a good idea to go to some of the fly fishing shows or stay indoors and do some fly tying. You will have an opportunity to catch fish on the river, but you need warmer temps. Right now there is just slush and anchor ice, and to be quite honest, the river is dangerous. So what I do foresee is when the river returns to fishable, I would focus on a jig bite with basically replicating forage fish that are in the river, because there will probably be somewhat of a die-off, which is fairly normal when the cold settles in and after extreme cold weather settles out, because naturally the weak will die, and that's free food for the fish. You know, the big lazy fish that don't really want to work for their food. So that's why I like to target the jig bite after some extreme weather. But on the opposite end of things, I do think your midge bite will be good. Midge larva nymphing, flies like the Winter Warrior or zebra midges, stuff like that. 6x to 7x tippet in slower water will definitely be the key. But again, the gamble is going to be making sure that there's no slush on the river. So again, keep your eyes on those night temps. The warmer it is, the better it could be. You don't want it too warm because then you will have snow melt, and that's going to be a negative spike. So it's this delicate balance that you're kind of looking for. Back to you, Dave.
Guys, how's it going? This is Ben Gilmour from here in Costa Rica with this week's fishing report. I got Tom here with me from Nutley, New Jersey, fighting a blue marlin here today. We got a big old blue marlin, guys, like 400 pounds on the line right now. Absolutely insane fishing at the moment. Today we've caught 2 sailfish. We got this marlin on the line, and we got a beautiful big dorado. We got lots of sailfish out here right now. Just the other day, we released 8 sailfish and a blue marlin. We had the pelagic rockstar tournament the other day, and we were blessed to catch a 170-pound yellowfin tuna. Inshore, guys, we got snook, snapper, and roosterfish along the beaches. But right now, guys, it's all about offshore. Wish Tom luck on his fish of a lifetime. Hand him back to you guys. Thank you so much.
Now, heading west from here, there's a lot of great ponds in between the Connecticut River and the New York border. Most of them are safe, most of them are frozen, and most of them are producing fish. Checked in with Max this morning, but he hurt himself and was not able to shoot a video today. A couple things that I do know from that end of the state. There are a few herring around in the harbors, but not that many people have been fishing for them lately, and I imagine they're dealing with some ice at this point. Housatonic has been riddled with ice flows and edge ice and everything else, so not a lot of guys fishing out there. Plus, you know, at night it's been, what, 1 degree half the time, so makes for tough fishing. So not a lot of guys fishing the Hoosie. But up in the northwestern part of the state, the fishing through the ice has been exceptional. We've seen a lot of panfish coming out. We've seen some really nice pike coming out of there. And you know, there's a whole little scattering of ponds up in that area that you should definitely be checking out. So you have that as an option. And then another thing too, Connecticut stocks several ponds with walleye. And that makes for a really interesting fishery. I was talking to is he my predecessor? Yeah, I guess he's my predecessor, Toby Lipinski, who was out with our field editor, Jay Hanachek, this week. And they did some night walleye fishing and had some good bites. And apparently that's something that can happen in any one of these walleye stocked ponds. So if you want to check the Deep website for where they put the walleye in, you can give this a shot as well. But it's basically tip-up fishing with shiners, and you know, it's an interesting fish that we don't see a lot of in New England, and it's a cool opportunity to do something really out of the ordinary, ice fishing at night. And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there and walk on the ice. Just safe ice everywhere, and just so many people getting in on it. I love seeing that. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer. We cover everything from ice fishing to surf fishing, from offshore fishing to inshore to travel. It's all covered there. It's $31.95 for a year. You're going to get 12 paper issues sent to your house. You get 26 digital editions sent to your email. You're going to get digital access to the other editions, of which we have 3. And you're going to get digital access to all the back issues. It's the best $30, $32 you can spend at fishing. I'm convinced of that. But if you head over there and you're still not interested, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.